I'm in Kiev right now. Yeah, I'm in Kiev right now, and I'm actually on a week off. We do what's called rotations as medics. So I work on an ambulance crew. There's four of us, and we could get sent anywhere in the country where we're needed. So you hear a lot about Donbass, I imagine, in the news. We'll usually find out a couple of days before we go, and we'll live in an abandoned. This last one, actually, we lived in an abandoned house, probably about 10 kilometers from Russians. And what happens? I don't know what's told on the news, but the reality is, and I wasn't ready for this, some days you'll wait 5 days, nothing. And you don't have internet like we have. You don't have all the things that we've had to spend your time. You don't even have plumbing. Wait 5-6 days, and then all of a sudden the Russians decide to start again. I don't know how to I don't really know how to express myself here, but it's kind of like I used to be able to sell products in shows, but when I talk about my life, the whole country is kind of cut. There's a line you can look on the map, and it's maybe it's like the Somme, like our grandparents, like in Vimy Ridge, where they just sat in those trenches, and that's literally what people do here. Ukrainians of all ages, young, old, and they could wait for days, but then all of a sudden it happens, and well, then we work. I think the longest I've worked was probably about, with a few hours sleep here and there, but about 50 hours, from casualty extractions, to bringing them to the hospitals, to working in the hospitals. I had very basic medic skills when I was in the army. I haven't even thought about these things for years. And here, I've got one here, a tourniquet. I don't know if you hear a lot about those. Yeah, they're kind of important.
Yeah, that's to, is that to shut off, it's to, if somebody's bleeding out, is that what it is?
Now,
yes, please do.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a windlass tourniquet, and if it don't hurt, Larry, it don't work. Okay.
Right.
And those tourniquets, as simple as they are, they probably save more lives here than anything. People's legs, people's arms. It's really not that complicated at all. That we just have to preserve the bleeding. The airways, very simple. We basically have to get them to the hospital as soon as possible. I'm not going to curse on your channel. But I've worked in those hospitals too. I spent 3 weeks with a French doctor, a brilliant young intern, and I don't mean to be crude here, and I don't want to be graphic, but it's really simple with a Ukrainian surgeon. You've watched MASH.
Yeah.
You don't need English or Ukrainian to hold the clamps while they work with a scalpel. And it's really that simple there. When they don't work, I don't know what's told on the news, if it's just constant. I wasn't prepared for this. You wait for days, and then you work for days or hours. But they're just fantastic people here. Like, imagine if you had drugs and they weren't just in Ukrainian, because of all the people around the world donating. The names of drugs are kind of important.
Yes.
It's not a tourniquet. We have drugs sometimes that are in Ukrainian, English, French, Portuguese. So, I mean, Google Translate is your friend.
Yes.
This all takes time. You know, it's not like going to the hospital in Toronto, where everything is a seamless flow.
What kind of drugs do you have access to as a non-medic?
Okay, so I never gave an IV in my life before I came here.
Okay.
When I came, I was trained because I did have some medic skills, but IVs were beyond me. But I did a 5-day course. I can do all the drugs for concussions, say for example, which is a very common thing here with all the rattling and such. I don't do narcotics. They don't give me the good stuff, Larry.
Right.
But I don't want to be responsible for that. Yeah, it's very simple. The formula is how you do everything, and you can prepare everything. I worked in a hospital for 3 weeks preparing 4 drugs, drawing them up. They're the old-fashioned ampules. You know the glass bottles. They don't
Yes.
really exist in North America anymore. You have to cut them with a knife or score them. But I tell you, training, like it's the same with anything in life. If you pitch, you can make it perfect. When I went on my first ambulance rotation, these are some of the roughest roads you've ever seen in the world, like a roller coaster. And I'm really proud of this. I used to think that guns were cool, when I was a young guy, but the paramedics were in the back of the ambulance and I'm in the front. I'm the security guy. And she was passing them to me with the syringes, and I was there cutting them on the road like a roller coaster. I didn't spill one bit, and I followed her instructions, as simple as that may sound. And I didn't stick myself with a needle. And anyway, one of the guys was pretty bad. I guess it's a team effort. Yeah, we saved a life. But that was the first, because I never done IVs, and simple. I can do the IVs now. It's taken a lot of training, but to do it in an environment, stationary at a table for like a few weeks.
Yes.
The time where it came, like, yeah, give me this. I want this. It was, one of them was morphine. Could you imagine if I stuck myself with that? But yeah, no, that sounds really, really simple. But that was, there's been some bad things that have happened here too, where we haven't been so lucky. But just how simple that was, that I was kind of proud of myself. And that's the simple things in life,
I'm proud of you, what you're doing. I think what you're doing, you were, before you went to the Ukraine, you were in Switzerland, were you not? Sweden. And what were you doing in Sweden?
Well, Corona, my show business went bust.
Yes.
And I decided, well, I had a sweetheart there. It didn't work out, but I stayed. I got the dog. I built kitchens. I learned to be a stone worker. I've always been an IKEA connoisseur. Nothing makes me happier than go for a little shop in IKEA because we don't work weekdays, do we, Larry?
No.
And not well. And I go to IKEA, and then I ended up working for them. I would build granite, stone kitchens, marble, quartz. I travel all around Sweden. I do all the display ones that you would see in the shop, and I build them in people's houses as well. I really liked it.
Yeah. And when did you make the decision to go to the Ukraine? What happened?
Well, I was very disturbed by the war, as many people are. There was 2 things. Number one, when, I don't know if you remember, in the first few days, Zelensky, he's quite a charming man on television.
Yes.
He asked for help. The man actually asked for help for foreign volunteers. He actively asked, and it sounded quite romantic, like the French Foreign Legion, if you will.
Yes.
But what really did it for me, I remember watching on the news this little girl. She would have been about maybe 6 years old, and the reporters were filming her, and she was there with a pair of, I work with scissors a lot, I haven't cleaned these ones. I don't mean to be graphic, but she's cutting the cotton, and the reporter says, "What are you doing?" She says, "Oh, well, I'm cutting this for my daddy, and he sticks it in the bottles with the gasoline." And that just broke my heart. They didn't have a choice, I found out later on, on my frontline rotations, there's a little woman with a little van, and she's got an army uniform on. She's between 60 and 70, and she drives down that road every day to bring us hot food, like out of those are the kind of people that I imagined. And it was reality when I came here. They didn't have a choice in this. They were forced into this. And some people ran, and I don't judge. You've got children, you've got whatever, but there's men and women here. I'm just going to express myself. Fuck you. They're not leaving. It's their home.
Yes.
And I imagined that, and I said, well, I had training at one time, and I could probably do better than some of those people that were forced to do this, who didn't have a choice. And I just came here with complete humility. I told the truth. I hadn't been in the army in years, and anyway, I found my way, and I worked with some really good people. And I've never seen a reporter. I've never seen the Red Cross. I've never seen these big organizations with these fancy Land Cruisers with leather seats that stay at the hotels in Kiev or Krakow. I've never seen them in the places where I went, but those people who are there, young, old, they're the same people that would stop on the 401 if you had a flat tire. Probably not too many of them. Or if you need the person who would shovel your snow just for the sake of doing your driveway because they know you wouldn't need to ask them.
Yes.
It's like it's hell, but it's like heaven on earth because every one of them is the ones who
Yes.
stayed. Yeah, I
It's
don't know
almost
how
the
I'll
ones that
express
stayed.
myself.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying. It's, I mean, that's incredible what you're saying.
The crew I work with, the woman I work with, she was injured in 2016 working in ambulance, and and she was in medical school. She was a paramedic. She was in medical school when this war started, and well, medical school. She's back on the ambulance. You know, she's had to have plastic surgery to recover from a wound before. Her husband is a paramedic. He was working abroad, making good money. He could have stayed abroad, but he came back. One of the drivers in our rich or poor people here, it's not a class thing, right down the middle. One of our drivers, he's quite a wealthy man. He got his wife and children to Germany. He came back, and it's just it's. I really hope Canada and the rest of the countries in the world don't change the channel when the next OJ trial comes on, because this is it. This is yeah.
Yeah. Brendan, what, tell me without getting graphic, of course, what's the worst thing you've seen so far?
I'll tell I'll tell you two things. Without getting graphic, I did CPR isn't really done in military medicine. It's more the movies. Any paramedic will tell you in real life if you have to do it before the hospital. It's I did it in the back of the ambulance. They stopped the ambulance to get me because it's quite it takes a lot of energy. I'd never done it before in my life,
Yeah.
and I'm quite strong actually. No, but yeah, he died on me.
Wow.
And I thought, is there something wrong with me? Because everybody was dead quiet. But the next day we didn't work, and I was like a menopausal woman, if I could be honest with you. I just the littlest. I But other than that, working on women in the hospital twice. Men didn't bother me, but a conscious woman, um, and they have to work on her hand, and she could have been Norma. You know what I mean? She could have
Yeah.
been that. Yeah, I won't talk more about that, but you get the idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we take Russians too, you know, and we have given them
Yes.
medical care.
Yeah.
I've seen three, so I just want to. I don't know what people say in the world, but we have taken them too.
Good. I think that's wonderful. You
Yeah,
know, it's, I mean, we're all human, right? Everyone's human. Everyone's in pain. So I think it doesn't matter who you're working on, and that's the beautiful thing about doctors. A doctor's job is, it's just to save a life. It doesn't matter why you were shot. You could have been shot robbing a bank. You could have been shot, doing whatever. Their job is just to save a life, and that's for the juries to decide.
it is.
Brandon, you're raising money because you need medical supplies, you need vans, right?
I'll show you.
Okay.
Do you see this?
Yes.
This is a Soviet piece of crap. The armor that goes
Okay.
in my chest legs. and I budgeted to be here about $25 a day for a year.
Yes.
And I said to myself, I wanted to buy a good plate, a safe one, a made in America one. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to take it out and I'm going to show you right now. It was $1,000, Larry, to actually have decent things. Canada gets these. British people get these. American people get these. See, made in America. I don't know if you can see the price.
Yep.
That's for one plate, over $500.
Wow.
I thought to myself, I'll go broke and I'll go home. I budgeted to be here for a year. And well, then I thought I'd come back. I haven't been on social media for a while. I deleted all my social media. So we didn't chat as often. But there's a man here who does bomb disposal. And he's been here as a volunteer for 3 years, because Ukraine's had a lot of problems over the years. And he has an Instagram account. And he films his work, and people donate money through PayPal. And I've met him, and I said, I'm going to try this. And it was just to buy things. It was just to buy stuff like this, and maybe get some helmets for my friends.
Sure.
Because the stuff we have is horrible. But one man from YouTube who has a channel, I sent him a message for a shout out. You know, he sent $2,000 without me even asking, and I was a stranger, like. Wow. Really changed my mind about the internet and the humans on the other side.
Yes.
Well, I told my commander about it, because I didn't, donated money has a heavy spiritual burden. So I said to her, what should we do with it? She says, well, we should put it in the long-term fund for four-wheel drive, because we need four-wheel drives. And I said, all right, I'll see what I can do on the internet. And I've created Facebook again, and Instagram, and particularly with Facebook, what's good is I can click on friends and mutual friends, and I can click and pray.
Yes.
Instagram's a bit different. You meet more of the world. But it's been amazing. There's been people, complete strangers, obviously friends like yourself, you know, who've sent some money. But like a complete stranger from Germany who told me, he says, well, I never had children. I have a good job in a nuclear power plant, and my mother's dying now, and I can't take all my money with me. And he made a very significant contribution.
Wow.
A man we know from Calgary in the same business made a very large contribution.
Yes.
He's done a lot of things for people over the years, but it's...
Yes.
Some people are like that, you know?
Yeah.
But we've raised enough money to buy a four-wheel drive, a used... You don't buy new here, you buy used, because
of course
you might not have it a week later.
It's that's right, yes.
Investment.
Yeah, that's right.
And this week we're going to buy a used a Nissan Pathfinder.
Okay.
So, because there's a lot of people, casualties you take, who can just sit in a seat, you know, with a bandage and a...
Yes.
And a lot of the ambulance crews are doing that now. Well, they'll have the ambulance for the severe people, but there's so many people that can literally just be thrown in a seat.
Yes.
But I was able to pay for the armor this way. And now people just send me messages of like, good luck, you know, and it's really
Brandon, if people wanted to donate for the cause, and I hope they do, because it's money, but you need money all the time. I mean, it's you need it for many things. Where can they donate to?
Well, I've never asked for a penny from anybody.
I know you haven't.
But what I've done, I would recommend, why don't they add me as a Facebook friend, and they can follow the whole story of everything we do here. And
I think that's good. Then can you tell everybody how to reach you on Facebook? I mean,
well, I'm on Larry's friends list, and my name is Brandon Mitchell, and I'll click accept.
Yes. Okay, that sounds great. So everybody, if you're listening, Brandon Mitchell, Brandon Mitchell, Mitchell, right?
Double L.
I've
never met one with one L.
No, either have I. Brandon, we did this. This was all last minute. I really appreciate you coming on and being so candid with everything. And
136.
136. Yes, that's it.
It's not a school night.
No, it's not a school night. And just so you know, I still have my Tribble. Brandon, many years ago, sent me probably one of my favorite gifts ever. It was a Tribble from if you remember the original Star Trek series, and this is Howie Mandel you're doing now.
Oh, very good, Larry.
And if anybody makes a noise too high, my Tribble goes brrr, 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 and I love that gift so much.
It only cost me $30, but I thought to myself, who would love that? And
Yes.
It's nice to do those things that like gestures.
Well, here it is many years later, and I'm still talking about it. So, and everybody asks me, where'd you get that? Brandon, this was so nice talking to you, and I appreciate everybody who was watching. If you can reach out to Brandon and you can follow everything that he's doing with Boots on the Ground in the Ukraine, Brandon Mitchell, he's just Google him. He's one of my Facebook friends. And Brandon, get back up here so we could say goodbye
I'm here.
to you.
I just want to show you my boots.
Yes, boots on the ground with mud on it and everything. Brandon, thank you so much for being on the show. This was wonderful.
One second.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Because you talk about boots on the ground.
Yes.
So, look at this. Ukrainian army.
Ukrainian Crocs.
When I got my rifle, I felt good, but I really felt hard.
That's funny. Okay, Brandon, thank you so much. We'll talk again and see you down the road.
God bless, Larry.